Welcome to the Ascend Your Success podcast. Whether you're just starting out or are a veteran looking to grow your business, you're in the right place. Join us to learn how to achieve financial freedom while working and living life on your own terms. Hear valuable insights, strategies, and interviews with successful entrepreneurs. Get ready to achieve the success you've always dreamed of. Ready? Let's go.
What's going on, guys? My name is Wyatt Reed, and this is the Ascend Your Success podcast. And today I get to interview my friend Jason Lavender, who is a real estate coach, real estate flipper, and he's going to talk to us today about the ins and outs of flipping. So, Jason, number one, thank you so much for being in here. But before we kind of dive into all the meat and potatoes of it, can you kind of introduce yourself and tell us about how you got started and like pre-real estate, Jason?
Yeah, for sure, Wyatt. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate opportunity to share my story. I love doing that because, my foray into real estate, it happened in 2017. Before that, I was a house painter. So I literally had a painting company, 25 plus years. That was what I did. I mean, that's all I knew. I had a great team. I had a great crew. I had great clients. But at the end of the day, I was a house painter. I was climbing a ladder every day. And in 2017, I knew I needed, there's no old house painters. Like, house painters don't make it to 70 years old. They just don't. So I knew I needed something different. And yeah, I jumped into real estate in 2017, started flipping houses and, made tons of mistakes, learned a lot, got some mentors and, got coached up and just stuck with it. 18 was really good to us. We started wholesaling. 2019 and 2020, started buy and hold, and nobody saw COVID coming and the craziness that happened there. And we rode that wave. So I caught the real estate bug in 2017, and I have not looked back. It's been a fun ride, amazing journey. And you mentioned, we're now helping other investors get started and jump in the game. And that's what I'm most passionate about.
Yeah, I think I was reading on your website that you've done over 350 flips. So that's since 2017.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild, man. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So, did you want to start flipping when you first came in, or did you know exactly what you wanted to do?
No, I had no idea. I almost made the jump in 2008. Watching the TV shows is very intoxicating, and everything looks so easy. Thankfully, I didn't. We all know what happened there, and the market just went to hell. And but yeah, in 2017, no, I had a construction background with a painting company, and I loved to remodel and things like that. And so to me, that was an easy entry into taking my skill set and flipping houses. I didn't know the first thing about real estate. All I knew was, I had some capital, I had some credit, I could dump that into my market, and I started buying houses. And I was just fixing them up one by one, doing all the work myself. And then, I put my head up I pulled my head up from my tool belt and the jobs I was doing, the part-time remodeling. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually an investor, I guess. I need to be an investor, not a part-time remodeler. So that was my big wake-up call. But I always wanted to be a house flipper. From day one, I still enjoy that the most. I love seeing things, fixed up. I like seeing neighborhoods turned around. So that's what fills me up. And that's what I love teaching.
I love that. So when you first got in, did you right off the bat decide to hire somebody to teach you, or did you try to do a couple yourself? Like, what did that look like, that entry point?
Yeah. No, I did two flips myself, and almost a year to the date from when I jumped in, I joined a group. I knew I wanted to eliminate the painful learning curve. I knew I didn't possess all the skills to optimize everything I was doing. I mean, I couldn't. I was doing the best I could, but I knew I needed to learn from somebody else. And so did a lot of research, jumped in, and haven't looked back. I've continued to invest in my education and learn and ramp up. And I mean, I want to learn from people that have already done it. I do not want to hit every rung on the ladder on the way down trying to figure this stuff out.
For sure. So, You went with what I would say a lot of people, I think there's two different thoughts, right? Number one, I think when people think real estate, they think of flipping houses, right? That's one of the first things they think of, and it is sexy. It's what I would assume most people want to do. They watch the HGTVs and stuff like that, and it's a lot harder than what people think, right? And then I we flip quite a bit. We were doing like 4 or 5 flips at a time a couple years ago, and it was one of the worst times of my life. So I'm just curious because I know all of the things that go into flipping. How have you overcome? What are some of the biggest issues with flipping, and how have you overcome that in your flipping business?
Yeah, house flipping seems to be the most tangible that people can get their head around, and probably because of TV shows. I mean, there's no TV shows about wholesaling or the BRRRR strategy or anything. So people, that's oftentimes a low barrier of entry point, and people enjoy it. Well, some people enjoy it. I really enjoy it. We work with people that really want to build a flipping business and ultimately create passive income through holding rentals. But yeah, just like anything, you need a system, you need a process. You cannot get by. House flipping should not be figuring it out each time. It should not be like the TV shows do portray. Everything's completely different. You're spending so much time at the tile store, and you got 20 swatches on the wall. Forget it. That's not how you flip houses. That's not how you flip houses successfully. Unless you're in a niche market and some sort of like historic renovation district or things like that. You put together systems and process, and you make the very repeatable. You get an assembly line. I mean, that's it's not rocket science. You don't need to complicate the system. You just need to figure out how to implement it.
100%. So I think a lot of the times the hardest part is finding people who will show up whenever they say they're going to show up and do what they say they're going to do. So as far as like finding contractors and getting a good team, is that something like you cycle through quite a bit, or do you have a good team that you've been using for a while? What does that look like?
Yeah, at this point in our career, we've got a great multiple teams, multiple crews, we keep a lot of people busy. But when you're first starting out, yeah, that is probably one of the, access to capital or hiring good contractors and, not getting burned. Those are usually the two things that people struggle with the most. The truth is you're going to build a bullpen of contractors, and you should have an A team, a B team, and a C team, and that may look different for everybody depending on your strategy. If you're doing, luxury high-end flips, your A team's got to be an A team. But you want other people on deck and, in the hole for your remodels. But yeah, building a team is critical, and you're going to go through a lot of contractors. I mean, the old adage that you hire slow and fire fast is true. You set the tone, you set the bar. An investor, a house flipper needs to stay in control of the entire process. You're not just, I see too many new house flippers, they're just kind of going where the wind takes them, where the contractor wants to take them. Your scope of work, your plan, your business, your system should dictate everything, and not a contractor, making decisions and recommendations and all kinds of different things. And so systematizing a process is critical to a house flipper being successful.
Yeah, I just literally had a new student come in a couple months ago, and he got his first flip right there where he was fixing to have it under contract. I think that it was a really good deal, and he had a contractor friend who he took out there, and he asked me beforehand, like, what does this look like? I said, well, we need to sit down and we need to write a scope of work, just really based off because he's a little bit further away than I'd like to go walk houses. But I was like, look, we've done this before with students out of state. First, we'll look at the pictures, then we can do a video walkthrough. Most of the time, I can tell you, I'd say 95% of what you need to do, minus the stuff that I can't see. And instead, he took the contractor over there. I said, hey, you need to give them a scope of work. You need to tell them what needs to be done. And he said, well, hey, this is what the contractor said that I needed to do. I told him it needed to be a $40,000 to $45,000 rehab, and the quote was $70,000. And I was like, that's exactly why you tell him what needs to be done, right? It's you got to do that. And if you don't know how to write a scope of work, if you don't know what needs to go on, if it's your first time, that's why it's so important to have a mentor, right, that can help you out with that.
100%.
So what does it look like for you acquiring properties, doing that many deals? that requires some marketing, I'm sure, or some branding. So when you first started coming into the real estate game, what did that look like as far as you finding deals versus what you're doing now?
Yeah. So first thing I did when I jumped in is I started hitting auctions, and so that was my first few deals. Simultaneously, I'm working with wholesalers, and I'm networking with wholesalers and trying to and work with them, and I still do to this day. And so that was my next few deals. Then, yes, as you said, we knew we needed to start direct to seller marketing, and so we do that. But I can tell you honestly, working with other wholesalers still is a great honey hole for us. Networking with agents, being a trusted resource for agents. And you mentioned branding. I mean, that was something I knew I needed to do straight out of the gate, or very shortly after. And so we run meetups. We're a local presence here in the Wichita market. We run different investor lunches and after hours events and things like that. We're just kind of the face of the market, and deals just gravitate. If you can be a magnet in your market, that's great. Paid direct to seller marketing is great. You got to track your return and everything, in which we do that. But we doubled down on branding and being a magnet in our market, and that's paid off in spades for us, over the last 5 years.
Yeah, I know a ton of people who just only do that. And I like how you said that because, as a new investor coming in, which is most of the time who's listening to this podcast, is somebody who's thinking about getting in or just starting to get in. I always tell people like, yeah, you can do paid marketing, but I'm still getting deals from free lead sources like wholesalers, Facebook Marketplace, connections with agents. I have agents sending me stuff all the time, and they know that normally I'm not going to be paying what they've got it listed for. So they're cool with submitting lower offers or creative offers or things like that. So you really need to create relationships with tenants or not tenants, but agents and other wholesalers and other investors who know what you're looking for, know what you do, and they can send you properties based on what you want, right?
Yeah, people, they just want to know that people are going to perform. So if you can be the horse that someone can bet on, you're going to win. And so that comes with relationships, keeping your word, being a person of honor and integrity, doing what you say you're going to do down to the letter, bending over backwards oftentimes to help people out and go above and beyond. And, it's not a secret. I mean, if you can just, adopt that mindset, you can be the horse that somebody's going to bet on, you're going to perform. Deals, again, you want to be a magnet in your market. And, those are the characteristics that are going to produce, being a magnet in your market. And you're right. Those channels that you don't pay for oftentimes are the best deals. We do all kinds of marketing channels and we have to track it. And that's a whole different business. It's got to have an ROI, but if you can just be a magnet in your market, you're going to kill it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what does it look like to work with you as a student? What are some highlights of the things that you teach and how you teach?
Yeah, so we're pretty hands-on. I mean, I have a saying: I put the cookies on the bottom shelf. So I want to help new investors like jump into the game, understand that real estate can create generational wealth, can create passive income if you play the game right. Understanding that there's hacks throughout the whole process, and you don't know what you don't know. So, yeah, we're very hands-on. I'm sitting on each of our weekly trainings, reported everything out. I mean, I've laid out the playbook, and basically we tell new investors like, here you go, put these policies into place, adopt these practices, put this structure into place, and you can succeed. It's not a, there's always risk, obviously, but if you've got a playbook and you've got a game plan and a roadmap, you're gonna have a far greater chance of succeeding and getting there than trying to read books and jump on forums and podcast your way to success. It's something I learned early on is find somebody that's doing what you want to do and do exactly what they tell you to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I took 3 or 4 months in the beginning trying to do it myself, listening to the Bigger Pockets podcast, reading the books, going to YouTube. And I just found myself going to a bunch of properties on the MLS that didn't make any sense. I didn't even know didn't make sense, or did make sense. I didn't know how to run numbers. I didn't know where I was going to get my money from. And I just finally broke down. I was like, I'm so tired of spinning my wheels. Like, I've got to get something rolling, right? Definitely very, very important. And we're not, when we talk about mentors, and I know every episode I say this because we do talk about mentors, but, we're not telling you anything that we are not doing ourselves. I have several mentors. I know we share a mentor, so we're in some of the same groups together, and it's so important to have either a mentor who's going to push you in the right direction and kind of help you skate around some issues that you may have by yourself. Not saying that you're not going to have issues, along the way, because it's just how it works. But to have a mentor, or to be in a community of like-minded investors who have been where you want to be, is so important. So if you could go back now and just and give somebody advice that's just now getting in, knowing what you know now, what would that be?
Yeah. So first of all, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but you got to dive in. You cannot just analyze your way. I mean, if you're just thinking, sitting on the sidelines, you're not going to get anywhere. You've got to jump in. So that's first and foremost. Second of all, I would say, find somebody, again, find a mentor, find somebody that's already done what you want to do, and just have them give you the playbook. Some of the biggest things, I think, early investors that I talk to anyway, they're always wanting to know how to get access to capital and how to adopt systems. And so those are usually, two of the first things you're going to begin to tackle as a house flipper, as an investor in general. But yeah, I go back to the first thing. You got to jump in. Don't be scared. The water's fine. Just jump in.
Exactly. You got to take action eventually. Awesome. Well, how do we get in touch with you? How do we talk to you? What's the next steps?
Yeah, you can always. I'm on Facebook. I'm an old guy, so I'm on all the socials. But Jason Lavender with the blue check mark on Facebook's a great way to hit me up. You can always go to elevatementoring.coach, find out more about what we do on our coaching. And Wyatt, for you, I'd love to offer, if I could, I've got a 220 plus point checklist, flip checklist. If you want to make that available to your audience, I'd be happy to share that document with you. But
I love it. That's awesome. I'll definitely put it in the contract vault so that people can grab it. That'd be awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Well, awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for being on. We should probably do a part two, because I've still got more questions. So these things are never long enough. But awesome, man. Thank you so much for being a part of this.
My pleasure, man. Anytime, hit me up.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, if you heard something you liked, and you're like, man, I'd love to get into this, just go to ascendyoursuccess.com, fill out an application, and I will talk to you personally. If you're in or you're out, we'll see you on the next one.
All right, man.
Still counting. That's weird. It says it's stopping.